Hello guys and gals, welcome back to another episode of Haunted Gaming. This time, for the very first time, we do a Conker's Bad Fur Day creepypasta called Conker's Worst Fur Day. Now, before we begin, I'm going to read this word for word. Again, I like to switch it up, and because this is a shorter creepypasta. So anyways, let's begin. Well, I'm so scared right now. I just played a fucked up game/ROM called Conker's Worst Fur Day. Anyways, I guess I should tell you my story. When I was younger, I owned an N64, and for my birthday, I got a game called Conker's Bad Fur Day. It was a game meant for adults due to swearing, blood, nudity, sexual references, etc. But my parents just saw the cover and thought, oh, this looks like a cute game. Perfect for our son's birthday. Anyways, I used to love that game. I did not tell my parents about it because if they knew, they would return it. Anyways, I loved playing through it, and I laughed a lot. I would have laughed more if I knew that some of the jokes, what some of the jokes meant before. Okay, so earlier today, I was watching a YouTube video about Sonic, and I came across a video called Eggman is the Great Mighty Pooh. I knew I heard that somewhere. Then I saw something called Conker's Bad Fur Day, Great Mighty Pooh. Okay, so after seeing this, I thought, hey, I remember this game. Suddenly, I felt an extremely big urge to play the game. I had already had an N64 emulator, Project 64. So I googled Conker ROM exactly like that. The first few sites I didn't trust, but then I saw one called Conker's Worst Fur Day ROM. I don't remember the site name, but I clicked it because the urge started growing. It opened a near blank page with just a button in the middle that said download Conker's Worst Fur Day.zip. I clicked it instantly and I downloaded it. When it was done and I started playing, it didn't open with the cute jumping N64 logo and Conker cutting in half with a chainsaw. It started with a gray squirrel, like the one in the bar on the main menu, running in a poorly lit room. Then a mangled, bloody, wounded Conker appeared behind him and sawed him in half with a chainsaw, spilling guts, bones, etc. everywhere. Then Conker looked at the screen with his torn up bloody face and said, "You're in hell, fucker." The strange thing was that in Conker the word fuck is censored, but in this ROM it wasn't. I thought, cool, an uncensored Conker game. Damn, that was a bad idea, to keep going with the ROM. Anyways, the game started with Conker entering the bar as usual, but instead of the menu showing up, when Conker entered the bar, all you could hear was loud, eerie, depressing, realistic screaming. I instantly turned down the volume. Then out from under the door of the bar, blood started seeping through and mixing in the puddles from the rain. Then the screen faded out to black. Then it showed the beginning area where you start the game, and you have the hangover. Finally, I can play, I thought. That was not a good idea. Anyways, I started, but there was no cutscene, and Conker was fine. I pressed B, and Conker swung a chainsaw, then put it away. Cool, I get a chainsaw instead of a frying pan. Anyways, I jumped the fence to speak to Birdie, but when I walked up to him, Conker looked at him and said, "Hey, shithead, give me some help." Then Birdie the Scarecrow looked at him and said, "Why the fuck do you need anything? You know how to play, moron." What the fuck, I thought. I just took a breath and continued. When Conker looked at Birdie and said, "You fucking shithole, I'll cut your fucking head off," then the game let me play. I pressed B, then the game entered a cutscene. It was very dark for some reason, and the place was only illuminated by constant lightning flashes. Anyhow, I just caught a glimpse of Conker killing Birdie with his chainsaw. Then he said, "Rotten hell, fucker." Then I got to play, but the game was still dark and had lightning. I made my way up the mountain path, but the gargoyle was not there. So I headed in the cave. I was expecting to appear in a bright, happy field with the Nast. Nice fork in the road. But instead, Conker entered the path up to the haunted house. I walked up, but I forgot about the skeleton snakes, and got attacked by one. But instead of being chewed up and spit out, it showed the snake put Conker on the ground and started mauling him, biting him over and over, revealing his guts, bones, and eyes, and they all started spilling out. Then the skeleton snake let out a demonic cry, then jumped out of the road and dug back into the ground. I was waiting for the game to restart back at the checkpoint, but instead it showed a fucked up, hurt, bloody, wounded Conker in a seemingly endless room, filled with zombies, like from the graveyard level. It showed Conker on the ground, guts, bloods, etc., lying all around him. Then it showed his face. I got so shocked from the scene, I turned around and let my stomach settle. Then I looked back at the cut-up, bloody Conker face. He was missing his eyes, and it showed empty sockets. Then, after he let out a moan, he said, "You never know a good thing until it is gone." When Conker said gone, it was so loud and terrifying I shut off the sound. Then I took a piss and came back. The screen showed Conker being devoured by endless amounts of zombies. Then when all that was left was a disturbing head of Conker. The zombies faced the screen and started walking towards it. Then I tried pressing B. When I did, a shotgun was pulled out. The game seemed like a first-person shooter, so it was kind of like Halo, sort of. I pressed Z and it fired a shot, holding off the zombies. I remember that in Conker, zombies must get a headshot to die, so I killed them one by one until there was no more. Suddenly, the Conker head said in a whisper, "Raleigh." I ran over, knowing I would have to see the head, but I felt like I had to do it. The screen showed Conker's head lying there, and he said, Don't be like me, learn to love, and don't love money, to be kind, promise you will do this." The game didn't do anything, and by now I had tears running down my face. And a softly said to the screen, "Okay." And he softly said to the screen, "Okay." Sorry, this has some grammar issues. I'm really sorry. Then Conker's head let out one last gasp and said, "Good." Then the screen darkened out and the game shut off. Then I gently deleted the ROM and turned off my computer. Even now I can still hear his voice, but I know the ROM was a message to me. Let it also be a message to you, okay? Good? Whew! Well, there are bad creepypastas and there are good creepypastas. Good creepypastas like Ben and Mario. And yes, Mario is the way you're seeing it spelled exactly on the screen, full capitals. I know about that creepypasta. Don't worry, guys, I'll do it. It's a long one. Plus, it even has its own game, which is pretty cool. Then there's bad creepypastas like Bound to Death and A Haunting Most Mario, which is extremely bad. It's a troll pasta. It's like the lowest on the spectrum. Now, I don't want to be mean, so I'm not going to tear it a new one. It does contain cliches, hyper-realistic blood, gore, and all that stuff, right? I'll try to overlook it, but, whatever, I'll still focus on them too. For one, hyper-realistic blood, when you mention it in a gaming creepypasta, it ruins the credibility in a way for me, because in a game, I don't expect to be seeing hyper-realistic blood. Hell, I don't even know what you mean by hyper-realistic blood. Like, I know what you get if you said realistic blood, but what is hyper-realistic supposed to mean? Is it supposed to be like, the realistic factor goes like over 9,000? I don't know. But yeah, if you're gonna say realistic blood, just keep it at blood. Because I expect to see video game pixelated blood, not real blood. I don't expect to see how real blood would function in a game like Conker. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. One thing I really did not like about this was that there was no build-up or subtlety. There has to be build-up and subtlety. You look at a good creepypasta like Ben or Pokemon Creepy Black, you'll see that they build up. They're not going into the scary stuff immediately. They start off normal or seemingly normal, and they go more bizarre and creepy later on, which is what makes them great. If you started something off immediately with some, what you would say, creepy stuff like gore or blood, it's not scary, it just ruins it, in my opinion. I'm writing a creepypasta as well. I haven't given up on that. If you want to know what game it's about, I'll tell you right now, it's System Shock 2, but it's not entirely System Shock 2, which is the sort of thing going for it, and you'll know about that once I release it. It's going to be in a video anyways, but yeah, anyways, enough about that. There are some awkward moments in this. One, namely, is going to take a piss after one of the most traumatizing scenes, and I guess after some form of relaxation, coming back to see more. If it was that traumatizing, what makes you go and take a piss and come back? It leaves me wondering what does that even mean? So one good thing I really did like about this was the phrase at the end about being yourself and not loving money. It sounds cheesy, but in some ways, I guess it belongs in a Conker game. I haven't really played Conker Bad Fur Day. I didn't have an N64 as a kid, but it seems kind of natural coming from the money-loving squirrel after, I guess, later on figuring out that money isn't everything and you should really, spend more time with friends and family and all that stuff. It gives some advice on how to live a fulfilling life, I suppose. So it's kind of this cute, good ending for a creepypasta. It still kind of seems unnatural, but it's different than the rest, and I genuinely found it kind of good. you know, because it sort of played with what the game was kind of about. So yeah. But the one thing that just killed it for me right after was gently deleting the ROM off your computer, but then being so traumatized and scared when you were writing this creepypasta down. Why would you... I don't know. I don't know. Please tell me in the comments below what you think, and what would you rate this creepypasta? This is me, Mutahar, from Some Ordinary Gamers, and if you like what you saw, then like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out.